20 food truck builders told me when I interviewed them one of the most important key factors in a food truck build out. So welcome to Marketing Food Online. In this video, I'm actually going to recap 15 things that 20 separate food truck builders that I actually called and interviewed and asked what is something that a new food truck owner or someone maybe just starting out needs to know about building a food truck or laying out the food truck interior for the most effective, efficient, and profitable food truck. So let's dive into those 15 things right now. All right, welcome back to Marketing Food Online. And in this video, I'm actually really excited to bring you the results, if you will, of 20 different food truck builders. Wanted to reach out to them and I said, look, what are some of the most important things? I am looking to create a food truck business and I am brand new. What is something I need to know about in order to make it efficient and profitable? So many of the things I'm going to show you from number 15 actually down to number 1 as being the most important. We've kind of culminated all of these ideas and brought them down to the most 15 important. So stick with me from beginning to end. You might want to take some notes or watch this video over and over. If you're looking to start a food truck and you want to approach a food truck builder, these are some of the things that they're going to tell you really need to be aware of before we get started. So number 15, training and operations. This is something that's part of the food truck building process, but also building your food truck business. You want to train your staff on the proper use of the equipment, food handling procedures, and of course, safety protocols. If you are the food truck owner, by the way, you need to lay it out for your employees and make sure your staff knows that. You want to develop standard operating procedures known as SOPs. These are something that we have in our food business as well, in our commercial kitchen. These standard operating procedures, that actually ensures consistency and efficiency in operations. They also told me, number 14, very important, of course, and you've got to budget for this, maintenance and repairs on a continuous basis. Develop a plan for regular maintenance and servicing of your food truck's equipment and your systems. Be prepared to address any repairs and breakdowns that may occur during your service period or your service time. So this is something that you really honestly need to budget for because it's going to happen. You're going to obviously need to maintain it. You need to keep the engine running good. You got to have every piece of equipment functioning properly. So be sure to put aside a portion of your profits every single either bi-weekly or maybe just on a monthly basis. But they told me number 14 was maintenance and repairs. Number 13, documentation and permits. A lot of food truck builders, of course, if you go to a food truck builder and you're having a customized food truck built, or you have a used unit that's going to be retrofitted for custom equipment, documentation and permits, they kept telling me. Keep detailed records of the building process, including permits, inspections, and invoices. A lot of times they were even saying keep them on the truck. In case you might need to have an inspection or something, you need to show a health department. In some cities and counties, believe it or not, you have to show all of this if you do get inspected, because you want to ensure that you have obtained all necessary permits and licenses for operation. Number 12, testing and quality assurance. So conduct thorough testing of all the equipment and systems before launching your food truck. Now, this is another note that if you're having a food truck built, most food truck builders will not let you leave until you actually test out everything and you see that it's working correctly and functioning properly. So before you even drive it off of the facility or drive it out of the facility, you're going to want to test the quality assurance. Then it gives you an opportunity to address any issues or deficiencies, okay, to ensure that smooth operation during the service of your food truck. Number 11, storage and organization. This is key to profitability. Do not underestimate this. Storage and organization is extremely important because when you have a fully functioning food truck that's working efficiently, but is working properly and has things in order, you're going to make more money. If you have chaos in your food truck, like you have chaos in the commercial kitchen, I can attest to that personally, it's not going to work out. So you want to incorporate ample storage space for ingredients, supplies, and even equipment. You want to use shelving, racks, of course, storage compartments to keep items organized and easily accessible. Number 10, accessibility. So design your truck, as they had said, to be accessible to all customers. Now, including those with disabilities. You want to ensure that your counters, your service windows, if you have seating areas meeting accessibility standards, are something that's only going to make you more money because you're going to have more customers spend their time with you. Number 9, safety features. Prioritize safety by installing, of course, fire suppression systems, emergency exits, and safety equipment. Now, a lot of these are actually mandatory when you're having a food truck inspected by either the fire department, by the way, or a health department. They're going to be looking for these anyways. And if you're having a food truck built, the food truck builders, of course, as they told me before, they ensure that all this stuff is up to code as well. You want to ensure that you're compliant with safety regulations to protect your staff and, of course, your customers, right? Okay, next one up they told me was number 8, exterior design and branding. This was something that was kind of on the side of getting people's attentions. If you're at a food truck rally and your truck blends in and doesn't really stand out, it's really difficult for you to just do that, stand out. So you want to create a visually appealing exterior design that reflects your specific brand and attracts customers. You want to invest in this and spend the money to do this, because in professional branding or signage, even graphics are well worth it. They're going to draw people's attention, and a lot of times the attention is basically how anyone makes business nowadays. You got to get people's attention when you're at a food truck event or food truck rally or even any event. Number 7, insulation and climate control. So proper insulation, of course, climate control are essential for maintaining food quality, but also comfort for your staff. You know, if you're in the middle of a summertime in the middle of Arizona or Texas or even Florida, you've got a food truck, you know that it's super hot in there, okay? So insulate the truck's interior and install HVAC systems as needed, because if you keep your staff comfortable, they're going to stay employed with you. If it's someplace that they dread going to because it's just really unbearable, you're going to have a high turnover and it's going to be very hard to be profitable. Number 6, of course, plumbing and electrical systems. You want to install plumbing for sinks, water supply, and wastewater disposal if you need it. Plan for sufficient electrical outlets. That means you want to make sure, if you're working with a builder, they always said, hey, you need to express to us, what type of equipment do you have? What kind of food are you making? Because you need to have enough outlets to make sure that it's functioning properly. Stainless steel, anything that's related to plumbing, you want to plan for sufficient electrical outlets and wiring to empower your equipment safely, okay? Number 5, materials and construction. This was repeated actually over and over. I wouldn't be surprised if I remember every single one of them said this. You want to use durable but easy to clean materials for interior surfaces, okay? Countertops and flooring. You don't want to, at the end of your day, the last thing you want to do is, obviously you have to clean up and stay hygienic. We got that. But you don't want to clean your truck for 4 or 5 hours at the end of the day, okay? Stainless steel is commonly used for its durability and hygiene properties, so you want to make sure you focus on proper materials and construction. Number 4, okay, we're almost at number 1 now. Number 4, kitchen equipment. You want to invest in high-quality, commercial-grade kitchen equipment that meets your menu requirements and space constraints. Remember that. Your menu is going to dictate everything about your ingredients that you're going to have, the size of the menu itself. What you have on the menu is going to be dictated also by the equipment needed to prepare it. So keep that in mind, kitchen equipment. All right, number 3, layout and design. This leads to profitability. And listen to what I'm going to tell you. Plan an efficient layout that, of course, maximizes the space utilization and workflow. Again, depending on the type of food you're going to make, that workflow is going to dictate the type of design and layout you're going to have. So you want to consider the placement of the equipment, storage, okay, service areas, and of course your customer interface when you're going to engage with your customer. Number 2, vehicle selection. Okay, this is really crucial. Choose a suitable base vehicle for your food truck. Consider factors such as, of course, size, condition, the mobility. Remember, some food trucks I've seen are gigantic, making them, of course, they're mobile. They go from point A to point B, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of space constraints when you go to events. If you have an oversized truck that you don't need so much space, it's going to be difficult to park there or stay there and be profitable. Okay, so mobility and then compatibility with your concept and menu. And of course, number 1 thing that we figured out from all of these interviews, regulations and codes. You've got to familiarize yourself with your local health, safety, and zoning regulations that govern food truck businesses. You want to ensure compliance with them on requirements for the vehicle construction, the equipment itself, and the operation. All of these things have normally annual permits, annual regulations that need to be renewed, plus followed. Now, you also, in some cases, some cities or counties change the rules, so you have to stay updated with those too. Most of these builders said, hey, building a food truck is one thing, but it's really super crucial important because you don't want to overlap on regulations or codes or any type of permit or license because you could lose your food truck. That's what they were saying. So these are the 15 key aspects building a food truck you should be aware of if you're going to be in the food truck industry. How do I get more customers to my food truck? So if you are looking to launch a food truck business, or if you just launched your food truck business and sales are slow, but you're trying to think of how can I get more customers to come to my food truck, I actually interviewed 25 different food truck owners. I'm going to break down the top 15 things they told me about their success each of them having an average of 15 to 20 years experience in the food truck industry. I'm going to break those down for you right now. All right, guys, so welcome back to Marketing Food Online. It is Damian Roberti, founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. And in this video, I'm actually going to do a really cool video in regards to how to get a food truck a little more busier than you probably have been used to. I actually checked out 25 food truck owners, and I asked them several questions, and I wanted to know what was the key to their success. So I'm going to break down those for you. So if you're new to Marketing Food Online, we are all about food entrepreneurship, including food trucks and mobile food businesses. So you definitely want to hit the subscribe button with over 1,000 videos and nearly 150,000 subscribers. We have a lot of great resources. All you have to do is watch, take notes, and succeed. So let's dive right into this. Now, these are in no particular order, these tips and pointers, because all of them are what we kind of broke down here in Marketing Food Online as to what is the most important things that we kind of took away from these questions. So here are the 15 tips and pointers they shared about running a successful food truck business. Right off the top, location is key. Choose a high foot traffic areas, many of them stated, of course, and understand that the local regulations regarding where you can park those food trucks in order to maintain a good location, as it being the key element in a food truck business. Make sure you definitely check out that, because you cannot necessarily park anywhere you want to. You got to be sure that you can do it legally and that it's definitely a location with high foot traffic. Next up, they said quality over quantity. Now, this was really interesting because a lot of food entrepreneurs, just give you some side notes from my own experience in the 15 years in the business, being that quality over quantity, it's kind of a mixture of the two in some sense with a food truck, because you do want to turn over as many plates as possible. But many of them said actually focus on a few menu items and make them exceptional rather than offering a wide variety of items, which actually is a genius idea, because when it comes to a food truck, physically in the kitchen of a food truck, you cannot carry a lot of ingredients. And in regards to that, you want to make sure that you have just a few items that can be used with those specific ingredients, maybe in several different ways. But having a very large menu would actually incorporate a large amount of ingredients, and you can't necessarily keep those on a food truck because you're very limited with space. Next, they said very important, something that's overlooked by food truck beginners and startups, is to build a brand. Have a unique theme or style for your food truck, they said, that makes you stand out and become memorable. There are a lot of food trucks. When you go to a food truck rally, or if you go to a food truck event or even type of festival, and there's a lot of food trucks, many of them do actually blend together and you don't know who's from who and what's from what. So creating a brand is really something that's essential. Even in our own business, I can tell you from my own experience, our business is the same. We had to work very, very diligently to try to create something that's unique, because what we make, to be honest with you, a lot of other people make and sell online, and it's not something that's really unique, but we created a brand that's kind of stands out. Of course, the next one in line, this is a no-brainer. You have to leverage social media. Even as a food truck entrepreneur, you want to use these platforms like Instagram and Twitter to engage with your customers and announce your locations and special offers. And if you're running a sale or if you're going to do an event, definitely use specifically Instagram and Twitter, because Instagram is really visually driven by images and, of course, short videos. And those are really propel you and can grow the brand and make people locally aware. Even if it's local, it doesn't make a difference. You can still do this locally. And let people know if they've followed you around or if they love your food. Let them know what event in your community or in your neighborhoods where they're going to be, in order for you to leverage social media. Next up, they said consistency is crucial. Okay, so you want to maintain a consistent operating hours and locations so regular customers can find you. That was something that was across the board, very familiar with most of the people that I actually asked. They kept saying that consistency is crucial, not necessarily with your menu and the food you're serving, but where you are and those operating hours once you're there. Next up, customer service matters. Hands down, there's no question. Doesn't matter what business you're in. They kept repeating that. It was a friendly, quick service that can turn around first-time customers into regulars. Is something that they mentioned on a regular basis. Adapt to the market. Now, be open to changing your menu and your hours based on your customer feedback and sales data. That's something that's really interesting too. Then we put this together. Adapting to the marketplace. So if you've got a specific menu, you know what? Sometimes that menu may not work where you're going. That menu may not work in certain neighborhoods. It may not work at certain events. So be a little bit flexible. Don't be so rigid, because you can end up putting yourself out of business if you're not going to be a little flexible on your menu. And people are saying, hey, do you do this too? Do you offer that? Do you offer this? You might want to be open to adapting to the market. The next one up was the efficient operations. Now, no one enjoys standing in line at a food truck event or for food when they're hungry, definitely, for like 10, 15, 20, or 30 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes tops is something where you need to keep it at. I kept hearing this over and over. You want to optimize the layout of your truck for fast service, and of course, train your staff to be efficient, not rushing, not speeding, and making a mess of everything. But being efficient is a key to any food operation, because the more tables you can turn over, the more customers you can feed at food trucks, the better off you'll be and the more profitable you'll be. Restaurants are like that. Cafes are like that. Coffee houses are like that. Next one up is cultivate a local partnership. They kept mentioning over and over that they really did partner with local businesses for supplies, marketing efforts, local events, word of mouth, catering. There's a lot of different ways that you can generate money revenue with a food truck, but cultivating local partnerships came up several times. Next one up, you've got to be super careful, because with any business, especially with food, which sometimes the margins are very, very slim, monitor your finances. Keep a close eye on your cash flow, making sure your operating expenses are not getting out of control, and making sure your profit margins are truly profitable, because you will be out of business if you don't. A lot of times food trucks can have very slim to narrow margins. In food industry, it's kind of like that, but the more you can offer at a better price, the better off you are. And as long as your profits are up, you'll stay in business. Next thing up, they said, participate in events as much as possible. You want to attend food truck rallies, like I just mentioned, festivals, of course, private events to expand your customer base. Many of them actually offered a lot of catering. Even if you prepared the food on the food truck and you're simply delivering it with your food truck to an event, be open to catering, they said. Health and safety compliance. Always be on top of cleanliness. They said that many food truck businesses get cited for health department issues, or someone calls on them and says, hey, you know what, the health department got called because your food truck looked gross, or the food, whatever it may be. But you always want to adhere to food safety regulations and health codes. Next one up, be prepared for challenges. With any food business, this was probably one of the top things that I had heard as well, specifically in regards to the truck and just the challenges of running it day in and day out. Mechanical issues, weather changes, the fluctuating customer numbers are all part of the business. So you need to be aware of that and kind of adapt to different events if they're not going to be paying. Sustainability practices. This was something that a lot of people nowadays have asked about food trucks, but you want to implement some eco-friendly practices, of course. We have biodegradable containers and such, and let your customers know that you're using, earth-friendly supplies, earth-friendly items like packaging and such. Be sure to let them know that, because it's super important. A lot of customers drive their purchases based on that nowadays. Lastly, this was something that I would say every single person actually mentioned, but they never stopped learning. Stay updated with food trends, business strategies. Always be open to learning. Don't get stuck in a rut on how you operate your food truck business, because it's not going to work for you if you can't adapt. So be open to learning, having new techniques, maybe new suppliers, maybe new packaging, things that can be cost effective. So these tips actually reflect the collective wisdom of these experienced food truck owners. So definitely take a few of these, write them down, and see if you can implement them in your own business. If this was definitely helpful, do give us a big thumbs up. How do food trucks manage financial records, and how do you manage finances for your food truck business? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why you as a food truck owner need 3 different bank accounts. That's right. And I'm going to explain what they are, why you need to have them. We're going to do that right now. All right, welcome back to Marketing Food Online. It is Damian Roberti, and in this video, I'm going to actually give you some information. If you're a food truck owner, mobile food business owner, or a food entrepreneur, you're going to definitely want to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because these 3 bank accounts are going to be of necessity, and they're going to make sense when I tell you what they are and explain to you why you need them. If you're operating a food truck business, I know that it takes a lot to run a food business. I have been doing it for 13 plus years of my own. Me and my wife do it day to day, day in and day out. But having these accounts set up with different bank accounts is actually going to be a hugely beneficial thing. Now, starting a food truck business, of course, like any small business, it involves managing finances carefully and strategically, and having multiple bank accounts can help streamline, believe it or not, streamline your financial operations and ensure compliance with your tax regulations and facilitate even a better financial management day to day. Okay? Now, here are the reasons why a food truck business will need 3 different bank accounts. Number 1, an operating account, as it's called. The purpose of this is the primary account. Okay, for this is day-to-day operations of the food truck. It's used for receiving revenue from sales and, of course, paying out regular expenses such as ingredients, wages, maintenance for your food truck, fuel, etc. Okay. Now, Damien, what are the reasons why? So, separating the operating funds from other financial assets helps in tracking the profitability and cash flow. Cash flow. That's the big key word here. Cash flow of your food truck business. It simplifies bookkeeping and makes it easy for you to manage the budget and the operational costs day in and day out. Okay, that's number one. That's the operating account. Number two, this is probably the most important one, the tax account. You need to have a tax account. Your second bank account will be your tax account. The purpose is you want to separate an account dedicated to tax liabilities. This is crucial for setting aside money to pay for various taxes such as sales tax or payroll tax or even income tax. Okay. Now, Damien, what's the reason for having this though? Having a dedicated tax account ensures that your business is prepared for tax payments and is not caught off guard when taxes are due. To be honest with you and transparent, this has happened to me a few times. When we first started our business, I did not have these three set up. And we actually had some taxes that were owed, and some of them were in the thousands upon thousands, and I didn't have the money set aside, to be honest with you. So this is something that I truly, honestly recommend that you do, okay? Even if you have just two of these three, let one of them be a tax account. This can actually help prevent potential legal issues and even penalties related to late or even insufficient tax payments. By automatically transferring a percentage of your each sale or a calculated monthly amount, okay, into this account, the business can actually avoid that common pitfall of spending money that should have been allocated for taxes. Okay. Number three, savings and emergency fund account. This is something too that not only food truck entrepreneurs, to be honest with you, but anyone operating any food business, any business that for that matter, needs to have. Now, the purpose, this account is meant for savings and emergency funds. Now, it can be used for future investments in the business if you don't happen to be using or utilizing these funds from time to time, such as you could purchase new equipment, expanding a fleet of trucks even, or as a financial cushion in case you have an unexpected event like an economic downturn or repairs are needed for your truck. So you're not running your food truck, so you're not making any money. So you need to have a little bit saved to help cushion some of those days. Damien, what's the reason for having this? Okay, so having a savings account allows a business to plan for growth and expansion while actually having a little bit of what's known as a safety net in place. Okay, it ensures your financial stability and provides peace of mind knowing that there are funds available in case of emergencies or opportunities to invest to improve the business. Okay, now here's some additional things you might want to actually consider. Okay, legal and tax benefits. Okay, separating business finances from your personal finances is not just a good practice for management, it's also important for legal and tax reasons. Now, it makes it easier to demonstrate financial responsibility and compliance in case you actually get audited or something like that pops up. The next one, financial management and planning. Okay, multiple accounts can help in more accurate financial forecasting and budgeting, which are kind of crucial for long-term success of any business, including a food truck. Okay, so having these three different bank accounts, guys, is really going to help for operating expenses and taxes and savings or even emergency funds can actually significantly help and manage the finances of your food truck business more effectively. It's going to actually ensure a little bit more financial discipline, and it aids in any legal or tax compliance things that pop up. So I just wanted to pop this video together. I had a question on this. I was quite some time ago. I hadn't had a chance to get to it. But having these accounts, these three different ones, will really help you guys out. So if this was helpful, hey, give me a big thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Definitely want to check out these additional resources here. And if you're brand new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of great resources for mobile food businesses and food trucks alike. And also check out our new YouTube channel called Food Truck Freeks. And that's actually F-R-E-E-K-S. Food Truck Freeks, F-R-E-E-K-S. That is our new one. We have about 10,000 food truck entrepreneurs subscribed already. You definitely want to go over there and hit the subscribe button. We have hundreds of more videos that are dedicated solely to food trucks. I'll see you on our next video. Food truck budget plan. That's right. In this video, I'm actually going to give you a rundown of the 6 aspects of a budget you want to set forth for launching a food truck business. Now, I'm going to actually break it down into each individual step, explain dollar amounts. I'm going to give you the rough startup costs. And again, these are going to be averages, and they're going to give you a good foundation to understand what specifically do you need step by step in order to launch that food truck business. So welcome to Marketing Food Online. It is Damian Roberti. We are getting ready to launch into this fantastic video all about food truck entrepreneurship. If this is your first video, definitely hit the subscribe button and check out our brand new channel, guys, called Food Truck Freaks. It is literally dedicated all to food truck entrepreneurship, giving you permits, licenses, tips and tricks for states, specific cities and counties, and a whole bunch of great marketing tips as well. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right into that. Creating a budget now for a plan for a food truck business is an essential step to ensure that your venture is financially viable and sustainable. So let's do number 1, initial startup costs. Now, there are some one-time expenses that are required, of course, to get the food truck business up and running. Now, food truck purchase or lease. A new truck, here's a basic average. A new truck can cost you between $70,000 to $100,000. A used truck, $30,000 to around $60,000. And then a leasing option, which is something I recommend to a lot of people do, is because it gives you an opportunity to actually get into the food truck business without having to invest a considerable amount of money. Leasing options can be between $2,000 and around $3,500 a month. Much better than investing about $100,000 in a new truck and the business doesn't work out. Truck customization and outfitting. Now, if you need this, you're going to have equipment installation, right? Plumbing and electrical work, and a few other things involved with that as well. That can average around $10,000 to $25,000 for the equipment installation, plumbing, and electrical. And of course, if you've got any other customization for that aspects of it, not necessarily the equipment, that's just the installation process. Licenses and permits. All right, let's dive into that. Health permits, business license, and a food handler's permit. Now, on average, you're going to bring about $500 to $2,000. And of course, this will vary by location because each city and county will have a little bit of variation of that. But this is a good idea of what you're going to be looking at, okay? Initial inventory, that's going to be ingredients, packaging, and disposables, about $1,000 to $3,000. Okay, and again, these are just startup costs. As time goes on, if your business grows, you could obviously every month, you could be investing much more money. Now, next one is insurance. What do you need? Okay, general liability, commercial auto, and product liability. And now, of course, I'm not an insurance agent, but I've been in the food industry long enough to know with my own food business, these are the same types of products that I already have. So that can run around $2,000, maybe $5,000 a year. And that's for those variety of insurances all put together. Next up, branding and marketing. That could be like a truck wrap or your decals, right? A website and initial advertising. You're looking at about $2,000 to about $5,000 on the high side. Point of sale system, a POS system, which you'll need for your food truck business. That can run you between $500 to $1,500. And that actually includes the software and the hardware aspects. There's 2 aspects to that too. Miscellaneous expenses that could pop up, of course, fire extinguisher, maybe some safety equipment, and some small wares. You're looking at about $1,000 on the high end. So initially, the total startup cost for that aspect of it is low estimate around $46,000 to $50,000. On the high end, around $142,000 to $145,000. Okay. Number 2, reoccurring monthly costs. These are ongoing expenses that you'll need to cover each month. Okay, food and beverage costs. Okay, cost of goods sold on that was typically 25 to 35% of sales. For $10,000 a month in sales, expect to spend around $2,500 to $3,500 in food costs. Truck loan or lease payments, depending upon which is applicable to what you're doing, $2,000 to $3,500 a month. Fuel and maintenance, and again, this would vary slightly, of course, based on where you're going and driving, but around $500 to $1,000 a month. Staff wages, if you've got employees, you've got to pay them, $2,000 to $8,000 per month, depending on the number of employees, the wages, and your hours worked. Utilities. Of course, you do have utilities, even though it is a food truck. You have propane or electricity or even water. You're looking at about $200 to $500 a month. Now, potential parking fees on average, $200 to $500 a month as well, depending on the location. Marketing and advertising ongoing, of course, about $100 to $500 a month to keep that up and going. Insurance, you could be looking at monthly payments of about $200 to $500 on the high side. If you're paying annually, this, of course, could be a one-time cost, and you wouldn't have to pay that every month. Permits for renewal, if they're either monthly or even potentially quarterly, you could be looking at about $300 a month. Now, total monthly costs from that perspective, Low estimates, you're around $7,800 a month. On a high end, probably $17,000. And again, depends on the gross amount of business that you're doing, your employees, and all those other things. So, number 3, this one's the good one. Revenue projections. Estimate your potential revenue based on expected sales and pricing. Your average sale per customer, let's say a hypothetical, between $8 to $15, depending upon your menu. How many customers per day? So let's say on average, 50 to maybe 200 based on your location. Depending on location, the time, and of course, marketing and how well you do that. Your estimated daily revenues could be between $400 or $3,000 a day. Now, your estimated monthly revenue based on 25 operating days would be about $10,000 to $75,000 a month. Profit margin. Now, that's really important. Number 4, profit margin. Food trucks typically have profit margins between 6 to 10% after all expenses. As an example, if monthly revenue is $30,000 and expenses are $25,000, the profit would be around $5,000, which would be 16.7% margin. Okay, and again, these are giving you a good foundation to understand how this type of business works. It could fluctuate. You could have considerably higher or considerably lower. Number 5, the break-even analysis. Now, determine how much you need to actually sell each month to cover your costs. Now, for example, if your monthly expenses are $15,000 and your average sale per customer is $10, you would need to serve around 1,500 customers per month, and that would be $10,000 and $10 into 1,500 units, and that's 15,000 for the break-even point. Number 6, the final one, is the emergency fund. Now, it's wise, of course, to set aside or have available 3 to 6 months of operating costs as a cushion for slow periods or even unexpected repairs. Recommended for that one, it'd be about $20,000 to $50,000. So this budget can actually plan. This plan can actually customize based upon your food truck concept, of course, your location, and the type of menu you have, which could affect your overall profit. So if you're looking for more information, definitely hit the subscribe button. We've got some other great information here on Marketing Food Online and Food Truck Freaks, our other great channel. But all in all, the budgeting plan for a food truck runs just like what I just mentioned. And if you're looking for more information, let me know. Ask me some questions if you've got them, and I'll see you on our next video. What size generator do you need to run a food truck, and what generator do food trucks actually use? So in this video, I will cover the 4 types and explain how they can be used and which would be best for your food truck business needs. We're going to dive into that right now. All right, so welcome back to Marketing Food Online. And as I mentioned in the introduction, we will be covering food truck generators, business generators. So, and what is truly the best of the best? So be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so, of course, you don't miss any video here on Marketing Food Online. So let's get to it. All right, guys. So food trucks often use generators to power their appliances and equipment when they are not connected to a specific power source. The type of generator used will depend on the specific needs of the food truck, including the amount of power required and the size and weight of the specific generator. Now, some common types of generators used by food trucks include the following, which we will cover each individually very specifically. Number 1, of course, the traditional gas generator. Number 2, diesel-operated generators. Number 3, even propane-generated operators. And number 4, solar-powered generators. All right, so number 1, gasoline generators are portable generators that run on gasoline and are typically smaller, lighter than other types of generators. They are a good option for food trucks that do not need a lot of power, as they can be quite loud and not as efficient as other types of generators. They are also relatively easy to find and, of course, relatively inexpensive compared to other types of generators as well. Now, however, they are not as efficient as other types of generators, and they produce emissions, so they may not be the best choice for food trucks that need a lot of power or that want to minimize their environmental impact. Also, be sure to watch all the way to the end for more video resources on starting a food truck business. Okay, so number 2, diesel generators are larger generators that run on diesel fuel and are much more powerful than gasoline generators. They are a good option, though, for food trucks that need a lot of power, as they are more efficient and produce less noise than gasoline generators. They are also relatively easy to find and, of course, inexpensive compared to other types of generators as well in the marketplace. However, they do produce emissions, so they may not be the best choice for food trucks that want to minimize their environmental impact if that is something that you are concerned about. Also, check out the blog link down on our website for the full list of best food truck generators. We actually put together a great list. You might want to check out that link as well. Okay, guys, so number 3 is propane generators. Propane generators that run on propane are a good option for food trucks that do not have easy access to either gasoline or diesel. They are quieter than gasoline generators and produce fewer emissions, but they're not as powerful as the diesel generators that are on the market. They are also relatively easy to find, and believe it or not, they're pretty inexpensive compared to other generators when it comes to gas or even diesel operated. However, they are not as powerful as diesel generators, so they may not be the best choice for food truck if you're looking for a lot of power in a small space. Okay, so number 4 is really unique. Solar generators are portable generators that use solar panels to charge batteries, which then use power appliances and, of course, equipment on your food truck. Now, they are a good option for food trucks that do not have easy access to either propane, diesel, or gasoline, and they produce no emissions. Now, the only downfall is that they are not as powerful as gasoline or diesel generators, and they're not suitable for food trucks that need a tremendous amount of power. Solar generators are also more expensive up front than other types of generators and require more maintenance in the long run, as the solar panels and the battery need to be kept clean and in good working condition. So those are some things to think about if you're looking for solar power. So there it is. That is 4 types of generators that most food trucks will find themselves using either one or the other, but you probably don't want to mix the two together. If you're looking for something that's cost effective, you might want to go with diesel, even though the diesel prices for the actual diesel itself is gone up quite a lot. Most of the time when you're filling generators for a small unit like a food truck, is definitely something that still is more practical and you'll get more power out of it. You want to go the traditional route with a gasoline generator, and of course you can get one between about $300 to $800. And again, that's going to be dependent upon how much energy you actually need. So you want to really take a list and recap and think of what exactly you need and how much energy and power you're going to need for the types of equipment you have. If your food truck is not inundated with a large amount of equipment, you might want to go with a lower or more inexpensive one that can produce a lot less power. If you're looking for something extremely powerful, you've got very large ovens, or you've got mixers, or you've got warming trays or serving tables, any of that sort, you definitely want to go with something probably diesel. The solar panel one, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about from friends of mine who operate food trucks. One of them actually tried it one time and actually ran out of energy, ran out of power in the middle of a food truck event. That was not good at all. So definitely take in mind what you need, what your specific needs are, and then from there, make your best decision on the different choices that are available. So again, check out those resources down below the video. We have additional on our website. Of course, we have a gigantic website with a ton of resources, including blogs and additional information on equipment for food trucks. And I'll see you guys. Okay, so how do you name a food truck business? I'm actually going to give you the 10 things that you should avoid when naming a food truck in order for your food truck to be successful, because a lot of food truck owners, when they first launch a business, don't realize the importance and how important having a good name, but also how it reads on the side of your truck in order for customers to know what you're selling. So welcome to Marketing Food Online. It is Damian Roberti. This is Marketing Food Online. We are all about food entrepreneurship. So if this is your first video, hit the subscribe button. We've got tons, by the way, of great food truck videos here, all about food truck entrepreneurship. And our brand new channel, which is dedicated solely to food trucks, called Food Truck Freaks. We'll have a link down below for that. Let's dive into it. Now, these 10 particular things are in not any particular order, because believe it or not, when I researched this and put this together, all 10 of these really came up with a really good reason why you should pay attention to each one. Number 1, overly complicated names. Now, a food truck name should be easy to read, easy to remember, and also easy to pronounce. You want to avoid long, intricate names like, here's an example, Gourmet Gastronomy on Wheels. Instead, go for something short and catchy like Taco Twist, okay? So you want to keep it within maybe 2, maybe three words, but when you're pushing it over 3 words, it's getting too long. Number 2, generic or unoriginal names. Now, this is something I actually see a lot, in my opinion. I see this actually a lot at food truck places that I've gone. When we've gone to food truck rallies and my family and I go out and eat at food trucks, I see this all the time. So using names like food truck, obviously, very generic, or street eats, that too is generic. This won't make you stand out at all, okay? You want to choose a unique name that reflects your concept, such as Pho Nom Noms if you're selling pho, or if it's like Vietnamese food truck. That would be something that would stick out, and it's within that 3-word limit. Let's go to number 3. Limiting names. This is something too, which actually, believe it or not, when I started my own food business, I had launched it with a name, and it really did limit us because a lot of people recognized my bakery when I started it based upon the name. And then I started adding other items, and they say, oh, I didn't know you actually had that because your name didn't really say it. So you want to avoid names that box you in one type of food or cuisine. Now, a name like Johnny's Hot Dogs may become restrictive if you actually plan to expand your menu and you want to opt for something that's more versatile, like Johnny's Street Eats. Okay, because street eats would indicate that, you know what, maybe you have hot dogs, maybe you do hamburgers, maybe you do other types of street foods, maybe you do pizza, or grab and go, different foods that are easy to eat. So Johnny's Street Eats would be a great counterpoint to Johnny Hot Dogs. Okay. Number 4, trendy buzzwords. Now, while terms kind of like that are organic or artisanal may seem attractive now, they can actually become outdated in the future when people really don't pay attention. You want to choose a name that will last and not be tied to a fleeting trend or trend words. Number 5, difficult to trademark. This one is a big one. I know for a fact. I actually hold 7 patents from the USPTO office. I'm an inventor as well. Some of the things I've done in the past, and when I was in college, I had some inventions and I got them approved. And yes, I do have them officially licensed, and they are 7 multiple patents that I have. So trademarking and patents is something I'm very familiar with. So the names that are too descriptive or too generic, like Best Tacos, can actually be very hard to trademark. A unique name not only helps with branding, but also makes it easier to legally protect your business, specifically your food truck business. So number 6, negative connotations. So you want to be cautious. Now, this is interesting about names that could invoke negative imagery or unintended meanings. The name like Stuffed and Loaded might sound kind of clever, but it could come across a bit unappetizing to some customers. Something about gluttony or eating too much. You definitely don't want to say that in your name. So one thing you want to keep in mind is the negative connotations. Number 7, misleading names. Now, of course, your name should accurately reflect what you're offering on your food truck. A truck called, let's say, Vegan Delights that serves mostly meat dishes would confuse, obviously, and disappoint customers who are looking specifically for vegan food, potentially hurting your reputation and, of course, limiting and minimizing the amount of customers who were thinking that you are obviously selling vegan food. So misleading names, don't do that. Number 8, hard to read fonts or colors. This is a big one, and I see this all the time. Actually, in our town, there's one particular gentleman who has a barbecue truck, and it's all black. But the letters themselves, the fonts and the colors are deep red and deep dark reds and burgundies. It's extremely hard to read it. I mean, unless you are literally standing next to the truck, I have no idea what you're selling. So avoid using fonts or colors that make your food truck's name difficult to read. Really fancy scripts or low contrast colors might look good on paper, but very hard to decipher from a distance when you're trying to get people's attention to come over and eat at your food truck. Okay? Pretty common sense. So hard to read fonts and colors, don't do that. Next one, number 9, hard to pronounce names. So a name that's difficult to pronounce or even spell can turn potential customers away. So you want to opt for something intuitive and easy to say, okay? And also something that's memorable and easy to recommend and easy to remember, okay? Anything that's hard to pronounce or say, it's going to be difficult for someone to give like word of mouth, compliments and say, hey, Damien's got a taco truck over there, but I have no idea what the name of it's called. Next up, number 10, names too similar to your competitors. Now, you definitely, before you jump in the water of starting a food truck locally, you need to research local business to ensure your name doesn't closely resemble another food truck or even a restaurant. Okay, too much similarity can actually cause confusion and actually potentially legal issues. So you want to make sure your name is distinct and unique in the area that you're in. That's another one that I see. It's kind of a big flaw. So avoiding these common pitfalls, guys, you definitely want to help you create a memorable, distinctive, and a brand-aligned food truck with the name itself and what you want to get across to your customers. But of course, you can't do that. If you fall into the trap of some of these 10 that I've just mentioned, it can be very difficult for you to stand out, okay? Or even be remembered or even be complimented, okay? So if you have any questions on how to name your food truck, if these 10 things were helpful, definitely give us a big thumbs up. If you got any comments about this video, definitely let me know down below. And again, check our other channel. We have Food Truck Freaks. It's actually F-R-E-E-K-S, F-R-E-E-K-S, Food Truck Freaks. We've got about 200 videos on there, and nearly 12,000 food truck entrepreneurs are already subscribed. So definitely a lot of great resources. What pricing strategy should a food truck use? Well, welcome to Marketing Food Online, and in this video, we're actually going to give you 10 ways. Yes, believe it or not, there's 10 different ways to price your food truck menu effectively in order for you to be profitable. I'm going to run down the entire list, and at the end of the list, I'm going to give you actual examples of each pricing strategy to see which one would work best for you. So welcome to Marketing Food Online. If this is your first video, definitely hit the subscribe button. We are all about food entrepreneurship, everything from home-based food businesses to food trucks and everything in between. So let's dive right into this. Let's not waste any time. Number one, cost plus pricing. Now, let me give you an explanation of what this is. This strategy actually involves calculating the total cost of producing an item and adding a markup to ensure a profit. Example, if a taco costs $3 to make and you add a 50% markup, the selling price should be $4.50. Number two, competitive pricing. Now, let me explain this one. Now, setting your prices based on what competitors are charging. Now, this strategy actually helps you to actually stay competitive in the market, specifically in your food truck, city, or county. And an example of this would be if a nearby food truck is selling burgers for $8, you might price your burgers at around $7.50 to attract more customers, slightly below your competitor. Now, number three, value-based pricing. Now, this one works as pricing items based on the perceived value to the customer rather than the actual cost. Now, this strategy works really well for unique or high-quality products in your food truck. Now, I'll give you an example. So if your gourmet sandwiches use premium ingredients and customers perceive this value as pretty high, might price this at around $12, even if it costs only $5 to make. That is known as value-based pricing. Number four, penetration pricing. Explanation. Now, this one is a little unique. Introducing new items at a lower price to attract customers and increase market share. Now, then you gradually actually increase the prices on those items, but it's a good way to get your foot in the door, if you, in a sense, with new items that you're trying to sell. Give you an example. So you're launching a new slider menu at $2 per slider to attract customers, and then raising it to about $3 once it's become very popular, or $4 to $5, depending, of course, on your costs. But this is a great way to introduce a new item. Number five, skimming pricing. Now let me explain this one. Setting a very high initial price for new or actually unique items on your food truck menu to maximize profits for early adapters before reducing the price over time. So gradually you would actually reduce it, but you're still profitable. But right out of the gate, you're going to launch it at a high initial price. Now here's an example. Introducing a specialty seafood dish at $15 and then lowering it to around $10 after a few months and getting customers used to that product. Number six, this one I love, bundling pricing. Now, let me explain how this one works. Now, you want to offer a combination of items at a reduced price compared to buying each individually. So as an example, of course, many fast food places actually do this. So it's a meal deal that includes burger, fry, and a drink. Let's just say it was around $10, whereas buying them separately would cost the customer around $12 or more. Number seven, this is actually used in retail grocery stores all the time. And it actually works really well with food trucks. Psychological pricing. Now, let me explain this one. Setting prices that have a psychological impact on customers, such as pricing items just below a rounded number. This has been working, by the way, guys, for decades. Example, pricing an item at $4.99 instead of $5 to make it appear cheaper, because psychologically, it's less than $5. That's how consumers actually look at it. Grocery stores have done this forever and a day. It's very rare that you ever find anything in a grocery store that is a $5, $6, $10. It's always $9.99, $6.99, $5.99. Okay, so number eight, discount pricing. Now, let me explain this one. Now, you want to offer discounts to attract customers, increase sales volume, and maybe even clear out inventory in a sense. Now, example, you offering a 10% discount on all items during the lunch hour to boost sales for slower times. Now, of course, you can adjust that percentage and not necessarily clear out inventory, because I know you make everything fresh. But the idea is at a certain period of time, if you've got a lot of customers, give them a discount periodically. They love that, and they'll come back again. Number nine, premium pricing. Now, you want to setting higher prices to actually create a perception of high quality or exclusivity. This is actually really unique with a lot of seafood dishes or items that really do cost a lot more. Pricing a signature dish at about $20 to position it as a premium offering. Last but not least, number 10, and this works year-round, seasonal pricing. Now let me explain how this one works. You want to adjust prices based on the seasonal demand or events throughout the year. It is an example. So offering discounts on prices of like hot chocolate during the wintertime or winter months if they're going to order a meal, or special pricing on themed items during certain holidays. All right, so as I promised, I'm going to go through and give you some really quick recaps of some examples of how these work. Cost plus pricing. So a smoothie that costs $2.50 to make with a 60% markup is priced at $4, right? Is another example. Competitive pricing. So if other food trucks are selling nachos for $6, price yours at $5.50 to attract customers. Value-based pricing, charging $8 for an organic salad that customers perceive as healthier and with high quality. Penetration pricing, that's starting a new dessert line at $3 each to build interest and then increasing it gradually to $4, maybe even $5 after gaining popularity. Skimming pricing, so launching a new limited edition lobster roll, let's say, at $18 and then gradually lowering it to get people hooked onto the product and loving it, right? So bundle pricing, a taco combo that includes 2 tacos and a drink for $10, individually would maybe run them $12 or more. You basically recap and bundle that into a single amount. Next one up, psychological pricing. Setting the pricing of the meal at $9.99 instead of that traditional $10 gives them a psychological understanding that it's actually cheaper. Discount pricing, so offering a buy one, get one free deal or on hot dogs to increase sales, or buy one, get another item for free, maybe a beverage, always increases sales. And premium pricing, so you're pricing a truffle-infused dish at $25 to highlight its exclusivity or limited time offer. And then, of course, last but not least, seasonal pricing. Offering that special pricing on pumpkin spice and items during the fall season to help and generate additional sales. So by understanding these guys, you can actually apply these pricing strategies, either 1, 2, or even all of them gradually throughout the year. Food truck owners can actually optimize their pricing to attract customers, cover costs, and achieve a desired profit margin. So those are the 10 ways that you can actually price a product. If you ever asked yourself, what pricing strategy should a food truck use? Well, one of those 10 will work.